Yeah, thanks, Katrina. In fact, I've only got 5 minutes, so in that amount of time, I'm just going to focus on a few of the key trends and scenarios for food security that will help frame the discussion. First of all, looking at population and focusing here on the graph on the 3 most populous regions, to note that the world will add between 2.5 to 3 billion people still by 2050. And more than half, well more than half of that population increase will be in Africa south of the Sahara. After that is South Asia, and as you can see, East Asia will be flattening out and stop leveling off by 2025. So population growth in the world is heavily concentrated on Africa south of the Sahara and South Asia. Urbanization, we've heard already, is going to continue to grow rapidly with significant effects on diets, shifting diets away from cereals, increase in the consumption of meats, oils, fats, and sugars, and also some positive diet diversity into fruits and vegetables and other healthy foods. This is going to put more and different stresses on and pressures on the food system. Looking at the track record on malnourishment or undernourishment, we see that on the left-hand panel, there has actually been a very slow decline in the number of undernourished people in developing countries. The significant reductions in prevalence that we hear about on the MDGs have been very much offset by continued population growth. The number of stunted children has dropped more dramatically, but as you can see here, essentially all of that improvement has been in Asia and most of that in East Asia. In Africa, the number of stunted children has increased due again, a somewhat slower record on reducing prevalence and the significant increases in the population of that cohort. As we all know, the number of overweight and obese children has increased dramatically, beginning about 2000. But the number of stunted children, I think it's worth pointing out, is still 3 times as high as the number of obese children. In the face of these kinds of challenges to food security, the world is facing greater risks across many resources, including water and land. Here we take a look at the projected evolution of water stress over the next 35 years. As you see, water stress is already high today, the numbers in the blue, but it's going to be dramatically increasing by 2050 with 4.7 billion people living in water-scarce areas and $63 trillion of GDP being generated in those areas. Climate change is going to take a heavy toll on rain-fed maize yields and other crops as well. So you can see here, and here we're showing the so-called RCP 8.5 scenario under the IPCC, and this is the one which is currently best tracking the rates of global warming we observe in the world. Rain-fed maize yields are projected to be 30% lower in 2050 compared to the no climate change case in 2050, and impact on other crop yields range from 10 to 20% as well. These factors are going to have strong impacts on food prices under a baseline scenario from our assessments. And we project that food prices are going to increase even without climate change due to the kinds of environmental stressors and rapid demand growth that we showed earlier. The climate impact on crop yields is going to further increase food prices, doubling the impact of food price increases for cereals. Despite, and maybe this is some of the good news, despite these pressures, per capita food consumption will continue to grow, and with Africa and South Asia beginning to catch up with the rest of the world, as you can see here. Many other regions of the world, the calorie consumption growth is declining, while fairly rapid per capita income growth in South Asia and Africa is boosting per capita food consumption in those regions. With improved consumption and other development processes, we are going to see that there will be improved progress in reducing hunger compared to what I showed you in those historical slides. But as you can see, it's still too slow relative to the kinds of goals we've been hearing for both MDGs and SDGs. These projections, again, with and without climate change, show that we're still going to have as many as 400 million hungry people in 2050 under business as usual. As you can see, climate change further increases that hunger and with significant impacts in both South Asia and Africa south of the Sahara. But again, despite those figures, we've already heard some positive messages here. There are many policies, investments that can be improved beyond what we see in these projections to further reduce the number of hungry people, including the maternal and health care, and nutrition programs, safety nets, investment in rural infrastructure, improved value chain efficiency, biofortification, and trade policy are just some of the ones we've heard already today. Another key is going to be research, development, and extension of new technologies that grow more food with fewer resources. And here we have just an example of estimates we've done that shows under plausible adoption pathways with a scaling up of a range of technologies, we could reduce the hunger and undernourishment that I've showed on the previous slide by 40% from adoption of these technologies on a large scale. Thank you very much.